How's it going, folks? My name is Sammy and welcome back to Sammy's Gaming Retreat. In this week's episode, I want to talk about a system I just bought, the Sega Master System. I'm pretty excited about this. I got this about a week ago and it came with 2 controllers, so I was pretty stoked about that. And also, it came with the light phaser. So I'm pretty excited about this. I also have a CRT television, just a small one that I can play this on. This won't work on HD TVs, if you didn't know. It only works on CRT televisions because of the technology. So I have a small CRT television that I got from a thrift store for like 15 bucks, and 2 controllers, the Sega Master System and the light phaser I got on an online store that I like to shop from, a retro game store. It finally came in. I'm super excited about it, and doesn't this thing look awesome? I love the way it looks. It's such a neat looking system. So growing up, we had one of these, and with it we had Phantasy Star, which is an incredible game. We had Rastan, Kenseiden, and a few other games, but at some point I lost track of where that thing went. We got rid of it, or it's lost in the sands of time. You know how these things go when you're really young. And I really missed a lot of those games, so I'm glad I finally picked one of these up, and I'm super excited about it. These things are absolute tanks, I feel like. This feels like, you know when you pick up an NES, it feels very plasticky. They're well made, obviously. They were made to be beat up, but this feels like on a different level. This feels like a bit of a tank. What I will say that's on this one is I'm missing one of the rubber feet here. You can actually, yeah, there we go. I think you can see it in the light. I'm missing one of these rubber feet, and it is bothering me because when I put it down on a shelf, it's wobbly. So I'll have to DIY something about that. Yeah, Sega Master System. It's a bit of a strange thing because it didn't sell nearly as well as an NES because the game library is just, it's not the same. The NES had so many good games and a wide variety of them. The Sega Master System has a lot of, like, I would say the amount of games that came out in North America, I would say a lot of those are really good. So the proportion is actually quite good of what's a really good game that came out, just based on how many came out all together. Excellent system. It's really fun to play. The controller, if you haven't seen one of these, is kind of like, looks like an NES controller, except it's got this like Sega D-pad, the Genesis style sort of, it's not got like the cross design. It's pretty neat. I like it a lot. The buttons are very clicky. There's no start button, which is kind of interesting. Button 1, I guess, is the start button, it says on the controller. So button 1 is start. Yeah, just an awesome system. I haven't played one of those since, gosh, I can't even remember. I could have gotten some kind of converter for my Genesis, like I know they exist, but it's nice to play on the original hardware, of course. So initially it came with an RF adapter, and I don't want to play games in RF. I think anybody who's had that experience before of trying to tune to channel 3 or 4 and the quality of the image and the sound, I think you know that it's way better to just play in AV if you have, or better. So if you have the AV cables, it's gonna look cleaner and the sound will be cleaner as well. So I got some AV cables, they came in, I plugged it in, and it works beautifully. I'm so excited about it. It's very clean too, which I like. The interesting thing is because when I bought it from the online store, it didn't say that it came with any games on it. It just said the Sega Master System with the light phaser and 2 controllers. So I was pretty excited about that, but when I got it and I turned it on, because I know that some of the Master Systems, if you turn them on with no cartridge inside, they turn on to either Hang On or Safari Hunt. So I was really excited to see that when I turned it on, I had the option to play either game. And Safari Hunt is sort of Sega's answer to Duck Hunt, and Hang On is a fun racing game, motorcycle racing game. If you haven't played it, it's pretty fun. They're good games to just have, I suppose. Kind of like nothing super special, but still really fun games in their own right, and a really fun excuse to use the phaser, the light phaser gun. So I'm excited to try that, especially on the CRT. Yeah. Let me get it here again. This thing's a behemoth. So what's cool about the Sega Master System is not only do you have the regular cartridge slots, you also have a card slot right there, because some of the games were released on little cards. So that's pretty exciting. I never owned any of those little card games growing up, so I'm excited to see if or how they work and you know, experience them for the first time. The controller ports look very similar to a Genesis controller. My understanding is some of the games will actually let you use a Genesis controller, which is kind of neat if you want you know, more buttons, I guess, although most of the games can only use the 2 buttons anyway, so other than comfort in your hand, that's kind of the way it goes. And what's unique about this system, if you didn't know, is the pause button is actually on the system itself. So you don't pause by pressing start on the controller, you pause by pressing pause on the system. So that's kind of unique and interesting. Yeah, just so neat. Like, check this out too. There's a flow chart of what you're supposed to do on the console itself. So it says you put the cartridge or card in, you power it on, controller 1, then controller 2, and then to the TV system. So kind of a fun add-on there, and that's right on the system. Yeah, this thing's a tank. The thing too is it's wider than I thought it was. Like, it doesn't fit in my IKEA shelf that I got. It doesn't fit at all. It's too wide. So I had to put it right next to the Nintendo Switch. I don't have a ton of memories with it other than spending hours playing Phantasy Star with my dad. That was a really nice memory I had. I remember playing Kensaiden. I remember playing Rastan, and I can't remember any other games that we had specifically. My memories of it are a bit choppy, but I remember Phantasy Star really well. So much so that I got it again on Switch, and I have played it on Game Boy Advance through the Phantasy Star collection. That game really stuck with me. I really like that a lot. I've completed it a bunch of times now. It's a very, very good game and one of my favorites ever. It's really excellent. So I'm excited because I also ordered Phantasy Star. It's not in yet. I'm just dying to get my hands on it. So when I do, I'll make a video. But yeah, I'm waiting. I got this purely so I can play Phantasy Star, and then I'm gonna try and hunt down Rastan and Kensaiden, and then I'll see where I go from there. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. That's gonna be it for me. I really just wanted to share my excitement about receiving the Sega Master System and getting a chance to finally play it again and power it on and see that Sega logo come up just like the old days. I hope that you're a little more curious about it and you wanna go exploring, because a lot of those games are gonna be lost to the sands of time. Other than that though, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you next week for another Sammy's Gaming Retreat. Take care now, folks.